What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and today we're going to be talking about one of the games that I am personally interested in playing whenever it does come out later this month, and that is, of course, Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Now, there are a ton of other games coming out this fall that I'm really hyped up about. You've got Battlefield 1, you've got Titanfall 2, amongst others. We'll actually be talking about that this coming Friday, so click that subscribe button, stay up to date. I'll be going through all of the games that I am personally looking forward to that are coming out over the course of the next couple of months, but today we're going to be talking about Mankind Divided and what kind of specs your PC is going to need if you were interested in running this game, because they were announced last week. So just to make sure everyone is prepared, I thought I would go ahead and make a video on it while also talking about some preload stuff for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC versions of the game, and a couple of other things here and there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So now, as with most games, there are required specs and then there are recommended specs. Now, the required specs are what you actually need to run the game and make sure your computer doesn't catch on fire or explode. Obviously, that's a bit out there, but it could happen, you never know. And then the recommended specs are what the developers actually recommend, as the name does hint, to have the best experience while playing their game. And it's nice that they put both of these options out there to make sure, number one, that you can run the game, and number two, just to let you know what you can have and what you should have to make sure you experience the game to the best of its ability. So now, as far as these required specifications go, the requirements are actually pretty reasonable. You don't need to have a $1,000 computer to experience this game. Now, is it going to look beautiful? It'll look good. Is it going to run extremely smoothly at 60 frames per second? It'll look good, but I mean, you're not putting a whole bunch of money into it. So as far as the operating system goes, you've got Windows 7.1 with Service Pack 1 installed, and this has to be 64-bit. Now, there are some computers that are 32-bit, but chances are if you have a gaming PC that can run Deus Ex Mankind Divided, you more than likely have that 64-bit architecture already installed with your OS. Now, as far as the central processing unit that you are going to need, you have an Intel Core i3-2100 or the AMD equivalent. Now, this is the one that really blew my mind, because it's not very often you see a brand new game coming out that can run on an i3 processor of any size or any rate or anything like that. I normally see games running on i5s or i7s. To be able to make sure the performance is at least stable on an i3 processor is pretty cool, and that's good to see, because that means even more people are going to be able to play this game. Now, as far as RAM goes, you have to have 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is pretty much standard for most gaming PCs these days. And as far as the GPU goes, you have to have an AMD Radeon HD 7870 2GB model or the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 660 2GB model. So that's pretty reasonable. I found pretty much something that's better than that 660 on Newegg for about 69 or 70 bucks. So if you absolutely have to upgrade your rig to get to those required settings, you aren't really going to have to do that much upgrading. It's not going to be, like I said, throwing thousands of dollars into this thing. Chances are, if you have a gaming PC that can run games, you can probably run Mankind Divided. So let's talk about these recommended specs. Now, this is what the developers would like you to be playing on. This is pretty much the best version of their game that they can offer you, and so this is what they would really like. However, they understand that not everyone can do this, which is why they had the required specs. However, the operating system, Windows 10 64-bit, chances are if you had Windows 7 or Windows 8, you more than likely upgraded to Windows 10, so for most people this is going to be a given, but it's nice to see that they also support Windows 7 and Windows 8 and aren't requiring you to do that upgrade. Now, as far as CPU goes, it's pretty up there. It's not extremely expensive, but it's certainly more than their required specifications, which is the Intel Core i7 3770K or the AMD FX 8350 Wraith. So obviously it's not like top tier stuff, but it's definitely going to cost you a little bit of money if you did have to upgrade that CPU to get to the recommended specifications. As far as RAM goes, you've got 16 gigabytes for those recommended specs, and graphics card, you've got AMD Radeon RX 480 or the NVIDIA GTX 970, which is what I happen to be running in my machine. Now, obviously, there are better graphics cards than this. This is pretty much the lowest tier of the current generation of graphics cards, if I had to describe it in a couple of words, an elevator pitch, if you will. So it's not going to cost you, as much as a GTX 1080 would, but it's not going to be as cheap as an Xbox One either, if you catch my drift. Now, make sure before you even purchase the game that you have 45 gigabytes of space free on your hard drive if you did want to download the base game. Now, if you wanted the DLC on top of that, it's an extra 10 gigabytes, bringing the entire total to 55 gigabytes if you wanted the entirety of Deus Ex Mankind Divided installed on your system. Now, for those interested in preloading that 45 to 55 gigabytes, you can do that on different platforms at different times. Now, if you have an Xbox One, you can already do that. You can go ahead and preload that thing right now and be ready to play it whenever it hits on August the 23rd. Now, on PC, you can start preloading on August the 19th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and on PlayStation 4, you can preload on August the 21st at 12 a.m. in their local time, so they're rolling it out along the globe as time does pass, which I think is the best way to do things. It makes it to where you're pretty much doing it in a tiered system, makes it easy on the developer, and you can go ahead and preload stuff at midnight if you did so choose. Now, personally, it's nice to see that the required specifications do kind of branch out and cover a wide range of gaming PCs, meaning that a ton of people are going to be able to play this game and really enjoy it to the fullest of its potential. And of course, those recommended specs aren't blown out of proportion. Now, if you do have a GTX 1080 running, or two of them running SLI or whatever you might have, it is going to look incredible, but I'm sure the game is going to run very well on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One both, as well as the PC, and I certainly hope it does, because this game has gotten a ton of bad publicity, especially since their little pre-order stunts way back in the day that we aren't even going to begin to talk about.
As pre-order numbers climb, more rewards are unlocked. If pre-order goals are reached, everyone gets to select one reward from each tier, as well as the ultimate prize. Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Released 4 days early.
I personally think that Mankind Divided is going to be one of the more interesting games to come out for this fall season because, number one, I love to see how the game performs whenever it does get out here in the wild. How is it going to sell? How are people going to receive it? What are the reviewers going to say? I personally love that stuff. Now, number two, I'm excited to see the world itself. It's set in this cyberpunk futuristic world where it is open world as well. And then, of course, as Human Revolution made it very popular, you have a lot of choice within Deus Ex. You can really choose how you want to address a certain scenario within the game and do it how you want to do it. And I feel like Mankind Divided is going to take what Human Revolution laid down and build on that foundation to make quite a memorable gaming experience if they can pull it off and make this game one to remember on all of these platforms and not just really focus on PC, PlayStation 4, or Xbox One. Just make sure it's a good experience with a solid story and awesome gameplay, and you've probably got a winner with Mankind Divided. So there you guys have it. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, drop me a like down below and let me know if you can run Deus Ex Mankind Divided on your PC. Will you be playing it on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you happen to be new to the channel or you've never seen any of my other content, I do upload new stuff like 3 or 4 days a week, depending on the week. So there's always something new right here on the channel when you drop by to watch some videos. But as for right now, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this particular video. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.